Hey guys, so I know I haven't made a video in a little bit, and mostly that's because for a while I wasn't feeling very well and I didn't feel like making a video, and also it's been very humid where I live and I haven't really been wanting to make a video because of that. Heat sometimes makes me feel really, really tired, lethargic, and lazy. if it's too humid, hot isn't necessarily the same, but humid and hot together, it's just like, wow. But anyway, this video, I'm making this video because I saw my psychiatrist last Wednesday, and he said something to me, and I just kind of wanted to discuss what I think about it, what I think about his statement, and how I think it applies to me. And, maybe you guys can give your feedback about what you think or how you think it applies to you, if it does or if it doesn't. So, when I was at my appointment, and by the way, I am no longer on the Latuda. I didn't really like it. Gaining weight, craving carbs, water retention, I'm okay. And since I've stopped taking it, I have lost like 4 pounds. So I'm like, yes. Anyway, we were talking about the medication, and I said I can deal with having hallucinations or seeing things and whatnot. It doesn't really affect my life or impact my life in a way that I think I would need this type of medication. And he agreed, but then he said, most people who have hallucinations don't know they're having hallucinations. And I didn't say anything at the time because I wanted time to think about it. But the next time I see him, I'm going to talk to him about this. But before I was diagnosed with bipolar, the stuff that I was seeing, I didn't know that they were hallucinations. I thought it was just what everyone saw. I thought, well, if I'm seeing it, everyone sees it, It never dawned on me that no one else saw it. It was only going on with me, and it was my experience. It never dawned on me. And through my journey of researching bipolar and psychosis and listening to other people's stories and their experiences, reading about it, and just doing a lot of research, I think on some level there is some truth to people not knowing that they're having hallucinations, to a point. At least in my case, to a point, because once I started gathering all this information and learning about it and looking at my symptoms and doing the work to figure out what symptom is what's going on here, the whole thing, I started to see what I was seeing wasn't real. I started to see that through awareness, through understanding, through education, through listening to other people's experiences. And I think that is the big reason why I can separate now my hallucinations from what's actually really there. But I do think there are many people out there who have no idea what's going on, They really don't realize that the person they're sitting here talking to doesn't exist, at least on this physical plane. They just don't exist. And I say this physical plane because sometimes I do believe that there are other realms of consciousness and existence. But that's a totally different story. But anyway, I do think there is some truth to that, even with delusions as well, because I don't know. I'm having these delusions until I talk about them, and then my counselor's like, well, we start talking about it, and then I realize it's not real, but sometimes it feels so real, so it's hard sometimes, I think, more for me with delusional thinking to tell the difference rather than hallucinatory experiences. And I'm not just saying visual hallucinations. For me, it's tactile, it's olfactory, what's that other one? I can't remember the exact name for it, but I hear things as well. I see, hear, smell, and feel things that are not there. And I never noticed before, when I was younger, even just a few years ago before I was diagnosed, that these things were hallucinations. I didn't know. Of course, I didn't go around talking about everything, not because I thought that it wasn't real. It's just that it's like, you go outside and you see people walking by and you hear people talking, and, it just seemed like that. Like, it was just life happening. So you don't talk about mundane details all the time. So it's just, it seemed real to me. But now that I have gained this awareness and understanding, more of an understanding, and I've looked at myself, my own symptoms, how this affects me, and like what triggers can influence symptoms and things like that, I have become more aware of when I am experiencing a hallucination. And I think that if people are more educated about their own illnesses, their symptoms, how they manifest, what they look like when they're happening, how the person reacts, all this stuff, I think it makes it easier to start separating reality from, symptoms of mental illness. Not that it's not reality that you're having these symptoms, but I'm just saying, separating non-mental illness symptoms, separating mental illness symptoms with just regular stuff that happens, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. And I kind of brought up to him, I said, because he was talking about the milligrams in the Latuda. He's like, a lot of my patients, when they take this, they're on like 1 to 3 or 4 milligrams, and they take them sometimes twice a day or 3 times a day. And he's like, I've never had anyone, have the reactions that you've had on these meds. And I'm just like, well, did you ever think that they like the way these meds make them feel? Some people do. They like that some meds kind of take you away from reality and whatnot. Maybe some people like it. Different than, getting drunk or whatever. It distorts your reality. So he's like, there are a lot of them that really don't like to be in reality. I said, well, maybe there's something to that. But as far as the hallucinations go, I think that, yes, I think there's a point where you don't recognize what's happening. You don't know. But I think once you have the information and the tools to help you, I think people can be more able to recognize when something isn't real as opposed to when it is, especially with hallucinations. And in my case, that seems to be true, because like I said before, I had no idea. And now I have a better understanding, and I can tell the difference between them. And hopefully it stays that way. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this topic. I think there's truth, but I also think that there's, I think that there's a power in knowing yourself more and knowing your illness and being able to combat the symptoms. I think it's just like anything else, any other kind of illness. You know, you have a physical sort of illness, you learn what the symptoms are, you learn how to combat them. You know what I mean? You don't just chalk it up to, oh, I'm just getting old or whatever. You know, some things aren't because you're getting old, they're because you're sick. So I think it's the same. You know, once you become more aware of whatever illness, physical, mental, whatever it is, you have more power to overcome the symptoms, or at least be aware when they're happening. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Alright, so I'm going to go now. I'm going to have my coffee and wake up for the day and all that stuff. Alright, well, I hope you guys are doing well, and you are always in my thoughts, and I hope that you guys are having, I know there's a lot of bad weather in the country, but I hope that you guys are safe and are well, and thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.